Am I audible? Okay. So let's understand the context of what we are doing. I'm just giving you a heads up of why we are doing what we are doing. If you notice the last 2.5, 3 weeks, the focus was more on building a routine. Now, when I said building a routine, I'm breaking your existing routine. Bad routines create bad study habits. Okay. Now, the whole idea, just a second, something is. So, the whole idea of you moving from your original process to some other processes, you wanted some level of efficiency, right? That is exactly what you're looking for. So, when you want that level of efficiency, it is important for you to find a different process which works better than the existing process. That is exactly what you're looking for. Right? Now, for you to do that, first you have to break, stop, pause the existing process. Otherwise, what happens is default is dangerous. When I say default is dangerous, we have a tendency to stick to our default routines, no matter whether they're good or bad. Like when I say habits, old habits die hard. Food habits, speaking habits, thinking habits, everything it's complicated. Every habit you talk about. Once you build it, it's very hard to break it. So we kind of try to replace the habits because it's very hard to break the habit directly. How can I stop you from waking up at 7 o'clock? I can't just tell you ki don't wake up or don't sleep till 7 o'clock. You replace the habit with something else. So that way, once you see the benefit, you'll get into the new normal. So in terms of routine, it's fine. We're doing it and we're doing well. In terms of mindset, it's simple. For me, it's simple. For others, I don't know. Now, why is it simple? Because mindset, you don't have to do anything. You listen to something, there is a great possibility that your mind will start changing, right? If you notice what has changed, why are you able to focus better? Why are you able to, I would say, concentrate better? Now, the whole point is when you actually start thinking about a particular point, when you start thinking about a particular problem, you'll start responding to it, you'll start reacting to it. So when you talk about mindset, it happens incrementally. It kind of happens incrementally. It keeps improving over a period of time. This is also sorted. So once this mindset is sorted, once this routine part is sorted, the next important thing, or the most important thing, is your syllabus completion. Now you're specifically talking about because this 21-day challenge, I want you to come to a particular point in terms of your capacity where you will be in a position to complete your syllabus faster or learn faster. Okay. Now that is where the game of accelerated learning process gets into the picture. Now, what is the advantage of learning faster? You'll have more time for revision, you'll have more time for writing practice, and most importantly, the faster you learn, the better you can actually retain. Like as I said, if you try to ride the bicycle too slow, you'll fall. It has to happen at a particular speed so that you're balancing it and you're moving forward. Not just not being able to fall will also indicate that if you're trying to overbalance, you're not going anywhere. Now, if you kind of maintain at a particular speed, the balance part is naturally taken care of. Speed at a particular speed will naturally take care of the balance, and you're moving forward. If you're doing it too slow, most of the time it goes for balancing. Now, this is what is happening in some of your cases, right? So, in terms of accelerated learning, we are trying to learn something or learn everything 40% faster than what you're doing. When you say 40%, every day you invest 10 hours. How can we learn the same in 6 hours? Now, this is a game which we will be, heavily focused as we proceed forward, right? So I'll just give you I would say, very basic and fundamental understanding of how you learn something. Very basic, because the advanced part probably will get into it a bit later. But let's have a very basic understanding, and I believe you should be able to see this whiteboard. Are you able to see this? Yeah, cool. Okay, in the context of your preparation, what do you mean by learning? I want all of you to define learning. What is learning? Unmute and speak a sentence. What is learning in the context of your CA preparation? Define learning in a single sentence. Think and define.
Sir, to get a basic understanding of what the topic is saying, and then picking up the keywords and memorize it.
Yeah, can you make it a bit simpler, more sharper? Learning.
Understanding and then picking up keywords.
Okay. Next.
Sir, learning is getting knowledge of something new, sir.
Mm-hmm. Complete the sentence. Getting knowledge and then what happens?
Learning new, sorry, getting to know about things which we have not done earlier.
Okay. Okay. Talk about it in the exam preparation context.
Um, sir, replicating or getting back the things from the book to the paper, sir.
Okay, let's start with why you understand what you're doing. Okay. Now, why are we learning? Like, why are we trying to learn here? What is the objective of learning? Like, why are you doing what you're doing every day? Why are you studying for 10 hours? Like, what is the objective? Okay, gaining knowledge. Okay. Yes, unmute yourself and keep talking. Keep talking, unmute yourself. Just keep answering. You don't have to be right.
Sir, passing the exams.
Okay, fair enough. Others, what is the object of learning?
The ultimate objective is to recall.
Okay. Anshu?
Main purpose is for exam and also in our practical life, maybe it will be useful.
Maybe it will be useful. Nice. Yeah.
So understanding and application for the question asked.
Okay. Hmm. Any more responses? Okay, if you have to explain it in a single objective, what is the most important objective of your learning for the next 2 months? Let's say every single day you're learning something. What is your most important objective?
So to clear your exams and to become a chartered accountant.
Okay. Okay. Can we probably agree upon this? Clearing exams, whatever level you are clearing exams, you're reading every single day to clear the exam primarily. More than knowledge, I think clearing exams is the primary objective in this case, right? Okay. Now let's say you want to talk about clearing exams. Now ICA in its I would say expectations mention three things when it comes to clearing exams. The person is called call it. I think when you're talking about clearing exam, you're looking into three aspects of skills. One is your theory, the other one is your practical problems, the third one is your MCQs, right? Three aspects. You have to learn into these three formats. You know? You have to learn into these three formats. Now, when you're learning into these three formats, the syllabus is same. You don't have separate syllabus for MCQs. Am I right? So from the same chapter, anything can be picked up. From the same chapter, anything can be picked up. So now when anything can be picked up from the same chapter, it is important for you to, I would say, learn in a process where you'll be able to use this information in all three. Whether the question is coming in X format, Y format, or Z format, you should be able to do that. So here, when you have to write, I would say, a theoretical answer, what do you think is the most important input you need to have to write an answer in a regular theoretical format? What do you think is the most important attribute which you need to have or which you should have to write an answer, good answer in theory?
The keywords.
Keywords, okay, yeah, right. What else? Write a, let's say a regular question comes for what? 3 marks? So 5 marks, one like you are getting a question for 5 marks. If I have to score 3 marks out of it, which is a decent score, how do you get 3 marks out of a 5 mark question? For you to get it, what are the three things you need? Write an answer where you get 3 marks out of 5 marks. What do you think are the 2, 3 things which you need?
Sir, key points and the answering formats, like starting with introduction in the given case and ending with the conclusion.
Okay, I think your learning objectives are not very clear in the mind. That is the reason why The process is also not clear. This is one thing which I think I'm kind of concerned. So basically, when you're learning something, you need to know how you are going to present. Let's say for me, whenever I read a book, I always know that I'll have to share this essence with someone else. So I'm taking the inputs. For me, I take inputs in singular lines. Okay, this is what it is. This is what it is. It's either a concept or it's either a sentence, it's either a quote, it's either a technique. Because my output is mostly speaking. I'll have to speak about it somewhere. I have to share this to someone. So I heavily focus on breaking down things. For me, however simple it is already, I want to further break it down. This is my way of learning. This is how it is. And second part, if I have to look into MCQs, whenever I used to do, whether for civils or CA, it wasn't that relevant except for the CPT exam way back. So when you talk about MCQs, recognition can happen through repetition. Like when you look at a bunch of question papers, if you kind of go through them repeatedly, if you kind of go through them repeatedly multiple times, you'll be able to recognize the answers. So for MCQs, if you compile or if you get a compilation of 500 MCQs, and if you kind of go through them for 7 to 10 times, there is a very good chance that you can score 20 plus in your main exam. I'm not saying one among them will come, but you'll understand the pattern because recognition has a particular base. Questions can only come from a certain segment in a particular format. So for MCQs, practicing a bunch of MCQs multiple times will always work. So first theory, when I'm talking about it, it has to be having a set of keywords and they have to be remembered in the form of short and sharp sentences. Short and sharp sentences. That is the reason why you're writing, or that is the reason why I'm recommending you to write day and revision and midday revision and previous day revision in a particular format. The simple, short, singular sentences where you remember them as it is, you place them, and you kind of build a fantastic answer. You can create a fantastic answer. Now, once you build a reasonable database, we'll do things like art of answer writing and structure of problem solving. We'll do all of that. But for you, in the learning process and the learning phase, you'll have to clearly break it down into that structure. And when you think of learning, please do understand again, just like revision, learning also less is more. You do not have to learn everything. You do not have to learn everything. You do not have to remember anything, everything. So when the questions are picked up, if you pay attention, questions won't be asked on everything, right? When you look at, it's a test your knowledge at the end of the chapter. When you look at the previous question papers, you'll notice that most of the questions are being asked from a 30% zone, right? Questions will be are normally being asked for 30% zone. Now, for you to answer that question from this 30%, you definitely have to go through the 70%. Now, I'll tell you why strategies fail. If someone is only going through the learning material, reference book, without touching any Q&A, they'll fail. Because they've accumulated the knowledge, they don't have an experience of converting knowledge into smaller component with the context of a question. Because they're not read Q&A, they're not written Q&A. They are not read questions, they're not written questions. So although they're knowledgeable, you can't probably crack this exam. But that is the reason why I'm not sure if somebody who is extremely good in financial management can directly go into the exam and attempt and clear. That doesn't automatically happen. So the format is very important. As I said, the format. Somebody is extremely good in writing, somebody is extremely good in speaking. So similarly for you, if you have to be reasonably good in terms of the placing the answer, you learn X and then you process and practice. Learn, process, practice. So however you're investing your 10 hours, what I'm essentially doing is you compress that into 6 hours. Whatever you have to learn across 10 hours, you compress that to 6 hours. Then couple of hours for processing it and couple of hours practicing it. So this is a far more efficient way than learning for the entire 10 hours. Making sense? Understand? Now, the question is, even if I sit for 10 hours, if I'm not able to complete or learn something, how do I learn in 6 hours? In your mind, you should always track your efficiency. Like, let's say you're sitting for 10 hours. How do you think you have completed the chapter? flipping the pages or going through the problems is not an indicator of you completing the chapter. Can someone tell me how do you know that you have learned something, or how do you know that you have completed a particular topic or chapter in any subject? How do you get to know whether it is done or not? And how do you take decision and move on to the next chapter?
So when with the after 2-3 cycles, it's coming like we don't have to see book again. Like what was the point?
My question is very simple, Kunkul. When you are studying a particular chapter, let's say today I have to complete 2 chapters. At what point of time you decide that chapter 1 is done? What point of time you understand that okay, this chapter is done, let me move to the other chapter? How do you know that you have completed a particular chapter? What is the parameter? What is the indicator?
So like I have understand the concepts. One cycle I have learned, and with 2 cycles I have revised,
You're not understanding the question. Think. You have to listen and understand the question. You're trying to say what you're trying to say. How do you know that a chapter is done? My question is very simple. How do you know a chapter is done? How do you know some particular topic is done? We're talking about cycles.
When you're reasonably sure that you're able to remember whatever you learned in the chapter and you remember it so that you move on to your next one.
When you talk about remembering, okay, this is a very good point in a different context. Do you think there's a possibility that you can remember a topic without actually understanding it? Yes, I need serious
Yeah.
sense of attention. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm not asking you to respond, but I just want everyone to pay attention. There are many topics which you normally study and you remember the questions. But when you go and answer a question, when you try to answer a question, you know that you remember the topic, but you can't answer the question. Have you noticed it? There are questions in the main exam or in your mock exam also. You know the topic reasonably well. I think if you look at the recent exam mistake tracker, EMT, when you looked at the tracker, you noticed it. I studied this chapter. I thought I know, I made this mistake. In your mind, you should remove the concept. People use the word called silly mistake. No, that doesn't exist because if you studied a chapter entirely, if you think you know the chapter, and then when you go and try to solve something or write something about the chapter and you do something wrong, there is something fundamentally wrong with your learning. It's a red flag. You should be really, really concerned about it because if this can happen now, it can happen in the main exam also. So when I'm asking you, how do you know whether you learned something or not? It's almost clear that you don't know whether you know or not. Most likely, you just go linear, right? You flip some pages, one, and far more idiotic way of thinking about it is a video you watch, lectures. Okay, this chapter is done. PGP, PGP is for 7 hours. I've watched it done. Cap against 3 hours done. This is how you kind of keep moving from one chapter to other chapter. This is one option, one aspect. Next, through pages, you flip the pages. Either you flip the video or you flip the pages and then you think it is done. I think is it out how you're doing it? Is there a better check than this? Because if you're not able to answer, I'm not able to gather how you decide that you know something or not.
So writing tests or evaluation.
Prisoner, on a given day, I'm talking about memory comes at a later point of time. Test comes on day 7. On a given day, today, because isn't a discussion, you're understanding what I'm trying to tell you. Let's say yesterday, what at present, what are the topics you studied yesterday?
Audit of PS user,
And
internal audit,
okay.
and
You had at least 2 chapters to study. Audit of PSU, and then you had internal audit. At what point of time you moved from audit of PSU to internal audit?
Sir, was able to recall the contents of the chapter.
Okay. Like, did you check that? Were you able to recall the whole content? How did you know that you recall? Because I believe day and revision happens in the night. Now, technically, when did you stop studying PSU and then move to internal audit?
No, sir, I did not check into individual level, sir.
So that's what I'm asking. Hope you understand.
Yeah.
See, this is something which you kind of do every single day. You keep thinking that you're learning. I'm asking you how. The question is, I'm not expecting you to do it the right way, or I'm not saying that there is a better way. I'm not talking about it. Normally, I'm asking you. It's like I'm trying to know. How do you know? Like, how do you take the decision of moving into the next chapter?
Sir, it is largely assumed only.
Okay, you're assuming that you learn, right? What about others? Twinkle, Alvin, Anshu, Dikshita, Anurag, Prasad? Like, how do you know whether you learn something or not? Prasanna is clear that he's assuming that he learned something and moving on. Okay, fine. That's a good response. Yeah. Others, like, how do you know, Alvin?
Sir, present week I'm doing direct tax, so at the end of the time, like I'll take previous year questions from RTP or MTP and solve it without solve it.
Alvin, just a second. First of all, for all of you, your attention level has to increase significantly because in exam, what happens is you'll vaguely understand the question, whether you're listening or looking at it. See, don't differentiate much between listening or looking. In the exam, you're seeing a question. Now you're listening to a question. Most of you have this problem of only picking up a part of the question and answering it. Like 30% question, you're writing 100% answer. You're noticing it, others, you're noticing it. You're not being wrong. For everyone, you're noticing it. This is one skill which you have to pick up. You're not understanding the question in the sense in which it is asked. So here, my question is very simple for all of you. How do you take a decision to move on to the next chapter? At what point of time? Is there a metric? Prasanna said, I assume that I know, and then I'm moving on. Fine, that's okay. At least he understood the question, he answered it. So for the rest of you, even Alvin, so what are the topics you covered yesterday?
Income from other sources and income added in other persons total income.
Okay.
So when I moved from income from other sources to other thing, at the end I revised it and then solved a problem. If I could solve it without completely, then I assumed that okay, I've completed this chapter and I moved on. I mean, I went to the next topic.
Great. So do you do this for all chapters or even for theory subjects?
So far, practical subjects, what I've done. So for all those things, only the questions, I mean, problem solving is the criteria for completion of each topic. If I stop some,
Good.
stop somewhere, I would go back and revise it again, and then do another problem. If I could do it completely, then I'll assume that the topic is complete.
Excellent. So one, this is a very good way. Like this is a good hack. Whenever you learn something, before you move, when you talk about revision, you're not applying it, right? So people, what people, most of them do is 90% assume and then move, and some of them do a quick revision, which gives a sense of completion. When you kind of complete it and you quickly revise, and then it gives a sense of completion. And what Alvin does is actually good. Like you go and solve a problem from that. So kind of okay, based on how it feels or based on how it ends up, probably he might go back. This is also there. So Alvin, what is the problem with this approach? Like you said, you'll solve a problem. So that is fine. That's a very good way, I would say. One of the best ways to understand. But there is one problem with this. So what could be the problem in this process?
The problem I have taken won't cover the entire area of the subject.
Wonderful.
So,
Because
5%.
yes. Now, how do you address this? Now that you have noted it, now that you understood it, how do you address this?
Maybe find a master sum which includes all adjustments and then do it so that every concept is attempted, or which I'm lacking, I could find out.
Perfect. So this is an ideal scenario, but that sum would not exist in most cases. And even if it exists, you would not like to invest as much time on a daily basis, because when I say complete this, you can't sit and do that, right?
Yes.
So how do you choose that sum? Normally, how do you choose the sum?
Generally, from the scanner, I would go to the last sum so that it will be a bit difficulty level higher. So that problem I would choose for working out, either in a scanner or something. The last from reverse, instead of doing from the first, go from last.
Perfect. Good. I like your response, and this is one of the best ways to actually check it. Good. We'll come back to that. Prasanna has said, Alvin has said, others. Anshu, how do you know, or how do you take? What did you study yesterday?
Yesterday, I've done financial instruments.
That's the only chapter you did.
Yes.
Okay. So within financial instruments, when you're moving from one standard to the other, one topic to the other, at what point of time would you decide to move on?
Actually, my learning process is, I will bifurcate the chapter into different parts.
Nice. Okay.
And then after completing one part, I will just try to revise that, because I'm not much grip in this financial instrument. So I will just try to recall, and then only I will move to the next part. And at the end of the chapter, I will again revise the whole portion.
Right.
And after doing that, I will go to the question bank. Actually, I won't try to do that question bank by my own. I will just go through the answers.
Okay, right.
After completing that question bank, I will believe that I have completed it.
That's fine. Fair. Good. Anurag, you're muted. You need to unmute yourself.
Sir, yesterday I did advanced capital budgeting in AFM. So, sir, I referred a revision video. This is for the first time I did. And then after that, I went through the concept and practice the illustration. Means like some I did by hand also, and some means just by looking at the means sum and trying to answer, means to calculate. So this is how once I am able to do that, the concept is clear, then I feel that yes, the chapter is complete.
So yeah, at what point of time you decide that okay, this chapter is done, and how?
So like when all the concepts I'm able to do the sum from my own.
Okay, you also practice sounds like Alvin. Once a topic is, you do it for all topics.
Some I practice means by writing, and some means through calculations. Means just
You
like
just do the calculate, but you kind of check whether you understood it or not.
yes, sir, yes.
That's a good habit. Good habit. Twinkle.
So it's different in theory and practical. In theory, if I able to recall it with like I close my eyes, and with the picturized image, I put the like topic also, like heading B, I able to recall, and what are the points, heading, what are the points, heading, what are the points, and in some points I like stuck what was the, and then I see what was the point next, and then I able to recall full chapter, then with closed eyes, then I know that I have done this. After that I go to like questions, then like I read it as if I do, and if I got some new question, then I again learn it, and it's the time I got to know that it's done. And for practical questions, like first I go with the concept and jump off to the questions, and after all the questions are complete, like some with the some I see what was able to do myself, and uh, next jump off to second question, then I come back to next question which I am not able to do that time. After 2-3 questions I come back to that to again do it. And
Okay.
after when all the questions are complete, it's the point like it's done.
Understood. If it's an arithmetic problem,
Sorry, sir.
let's say if it's an problem which involves calculations, what would you do then?
Like say, I solve it. Uh, if I able to, like, it's a problem for my part. Like it's I don't focus on presentation. I only see that I am able to calculate it, but presentation part is like missing from my side.
Okay.
But if I able to like do the calculation part, like if I able to get the answer, like what was the main answer, I I simply do this one, two, and three questions like. And if some question I got a problem, I understand it, and after four, five questions, like, or two, three questions, I again do it. First one, if and if I able to recall it, like what was the steps and what was the answer, then I go to next one, like questions. And once all questions complete, in this manner, it's done.
Okay, understood. Dikshita and Mitra.
So for practical subjects, problem solving is the main criteria. I after each chapter, I try to solve at least like main 3 to 4 problems where all the adjustments get covered, and I remember all the subsections and everything important that needs to be remembered. And for theory subjects, after each chapter, I try to tell it out myself or to someone if they're beside me. Like after a 50 minute slot, those 10 minutes, I try to recall it back by telling it out and then checking whether I've covered everything. And if something gets missed out, I again revise that and move on to the next chapter.
Okay, great. Mitra?
For theory, I also tell it out, but if there's no person around, I try to write
There's no
it out.
person, you guys. Like it's been 2 days. I'm asking about.
Like, yeah, well, when she's not there, I try to like write down in the notes, like prepare a framework related to theory. For practical subjects, I practice the test your knowledge questions
Okay.
before looking into the answers, like a simple calculation I'll do and then look into it. That's
Okay. Yeah. So first of all, I wanted to raise the awareness for all of you guys that you need to be very focused on learning, because when you talk about testing, your entire effort is there into the exam. When you write exam, you're reasonably conscious about how many marks you get. But we need to add layers of I would say controls to see something is working out. So from today onwards, try to understand how you are learning and what is the metric. Right? So don't blindly sit and assume. Don't assume that you're learning. Now, there are multiple ways of looking at it. Part of it, yes, you're doing well in terms of understanding and doing it, but whether it is actually done for all chapters, whether it is actually done for all days, when there is a sense of rush, because there is always a sense of urgency and rush. So when you operate in that mode, is it really possible for you to calm down and actually test yourself and move on? So there are multiple questions regarding it. So from here onwards, we are shifting our entire attention to learning, because we have automated revision. Now for others, it's a very complex process. For us, revision is automated. Revision is 30 minutes. Right? 20 minutes day revision, 10 minutes midday revision, and a 10 minutes previous day revision. Midday revision just happens, like just before you take the lunch break, or before that, you just write it in 5 minutes. That's done. So when you're able to automate this, you can focus heavily on learning. There's nothing else, because your mind is calm, you have a routine, your revision is sorted, and you're practicing writing every day, and then you have an exam at the end of the week. So everything is sorted. Now, if you fix this one thing, one central thing, which is learning, game over. That's it. If this is not fixed, it impacts the revision quality. It impacts the writing process. You understand me? Now, writing process would not directly impact the learning process. You're getting it? How do you write? Let's say exam presentation. Now, exam presentation is not going to impact the learning because it happens at later point. But learning process can definitely impact revision, can definitely impact your writing practice, right? Understand? And it will also impact your mindset and routine. I'll tell you why. When you sit and try to learn something, when you know that, okay, when I sit with a book, when I spend 60 minutes, I realize, okay, wow, this is insightful. I was able to expand my horizon, or I was able to deepen my knowledge. So it makes me invest more and more time into reading as compared to any other form of alternate options, right? Because when I invest X into something, when you're able to read 2x or 3x, it'll be more inclined. And your fundamental resistance not to study will also collapse when you learn better. The reason why you don't feel like studying is because of your inefficiency, not because you hate studies. You hate inefficiency. Ask this question yourself. You don't bloody right to sit for 10 hours and learn nothing. On a given day, like there are days where you kind of put that effort, where you kind of learn something, where you know that, okay, I understood, I picked this up. When you actually do that, don't you think you want to study more? So for you to enhance your study schedule, both quantitatively and qualitatively, it's important that you learn better, you learn more, you learn faster. Cool. So we'll keep having multiple discussions on this, but for today, you can slightly uh, reduce the content. Let's say you want to study 100, make it 80, but focus on how you are learning and how you know that you learned something or not. Today's go slot wise, stop at let's say 8:50. Invest 10 minutes or 15 minutes for each session to know whether you learned something or not. Now, Alvin has given an idea, Anurag has given something, Twinkle has something, and all of you guys gave different ways of testing yourself. Now, I'm not going to answer how to test yourselves, but I really want to know what you have done today to know that you learned something before you move on to the next one. Okay, it's very important, man. Don't just uh, I would say don't just move around and then think that everything can be handled in minutes. That's not happening. Understood? So today I want you to be more conscious. I want you to be very clear about how you know that you learned something. You just have to know. The idea is I'm not asking you to learn everything every single minute. That's not possible. You just need to know whether you learned it or you didn't. Flipping through the pages is not learning. Please understand the difference. Completing the video is not learning. I'm not expecting you to learn everything. I'm expecting you to know whether you learned it or not. Even if let's say after 3 hours, if you realize that there are some learning gaps, that's okay. Note them down, move on to the next chapter. I'm not asking you to invest 3x of time. No. Only know whether you're getting to know or not. Once you come back to me with this feedback or input tomorrow, I'll do something. Okay, this week, the next 3 days of discussion is mostly about realigning and fixing your learning process. Clear? Can I do that? So at the end, you're testing what you're learning. At the beginning, do the current skill. And for you to improve this, I'll give you one more. Let's say for 3 hours, if you're not able to do it at once, for each focus block slot, do this. Let's say I have to study 10 pages in the next 50 minutes. Spend 2 minutes flipping through them. At any point of time, make sure you do current skill. Okay, keep doing this. Here at the end, revise. You'll see that you'll see at least 3x efficiency. Now we don't change books. We don't talk about some random videos. We don't do anything different. The process is so powerful that you'll see the benefit. Now that is exactly I'm giving you one of the most important techniques which will significantly alter your learning. Like if you have 1 hour, let's say 5 minutes here, invest 5 minutes into current discipline. Invest 5 minutes into recall. First 5 minutes, last 5 minutes. More than the 15 minutes, this 10 minutes will give you more content. Okay. Try all of this and we'll meet tomorrow. Is it fine? We'll try this. Current is coming, plus slight amount of testing about how you're learning. And note down these points. I want this very clearly. Keep noting down what happened after this first slide, second slide. What is happening? What is that component you're able to learn? What is it you're not able to learn? Getting it? All the best. See you tomorrow. Have a good day.